My experimental Pi agent running on Cloudflare can now run shell commands. And not just shell commands using just bash on dynamic workers, but shell commands on a Linux environment. And the implementation for this was just a few lines of code. Now, before I talk about the implementation, let me show you a quick example. Over here, I asked my agent to build a color palette generator app. As a user, you could enter a hex color and receive 5 related colors. Now, to build this app, I asked my agent to follow test-driven development. Now, scrolling through this interaction, you can see the agent ran a bunch of tool calls. It edited some files, it tried to write some files, and it ran an execute function. And this execute function was to create a folder in the workspace. If I scroll a bit more, you will see that the same execute function now has a backend container. So over here, Pi knows that to run npm install, it needs a Linux environment, it needs a container. So it automatically uses the container as the backend to run this command. It also knows that to run the test, it still needs a Linux environment. And that's what we see over here in this execute command. So based on the task, Pi automatically knows which runtime or which backend to use when. If it's a command where it needs to install dependencies or run tests, it would use the container as the backend. If it is editing files, or creating directories, in itself, it does not really need a container. Now this is what the final app looks like. And here is a hex code given by the user, and then they get 5 almost similar colors for that hex code. Let's try a different hex code over here. I'm just going to try some random hex code. And we get some color suggestions over here. I implemented this using Cloudflare Computer. And to use Cloudflare Computer, you have to install the package using npm install Cloudflare Computer and provide the agent the tools from this package. With Cloudflare Computer, your agent gets a virtual file system which lives in a durable object. The best part is that you don't really need to stitch a lot of code together. Everything is taken care of. It provides the runtime the agent would need to execute a task. You don't even have to write the code to configure the container, and also not even think about syncing the files between the virtual file system inside the durable object and the container. The files which are available in the virtual file system inside the DO are available in the container as well. And based on the task, the agent can decide which runtime or backend it needs. Cloudflare Computer is still in preview, which means that there might be some changes coming to the API. However, you should still check it out, try it with your agents, and provide the agents the runtime they need. And if you have any feedback on how we can improve Cloudflare Computer, do let us know.